Hello and welcome to IRL here for FP in round 2. Today I'm going to be your commentator, Kevin Harrison, again on my own, as I was last week for Belgium, unfortunately. But yeah, a full, well not full, but a very full grid in the grand scheme of things. At least 17 drivers here today. A few people, of course, already getting in their times, as I had a little trouble getting up the stream, but it's up now, of course. So Nino, of course, in the Red Bull, going provisional pole position at 28.4, and then Timer Azim in second, 29.2, of course. So Nino clearly taking quite a gap from first to second, and then Cameron Young in the Alpine as well in third on a 30.0. So only two people actually getting into the in the 20s as a whole. I'll just get up the information on the screen. So there we go. So we'll try and find someone on lap. Most people would be on in-laps by now, I would assume, as I can see Paco Suarez on an out-lap, so we'll pick him up when he gets on with it. Enrico Flam as well. Looks like Thomas MacGyver is on a lap as he comes through to finish up sector 2 at least, and then he's going to come to the flat out turn 10, and then very tricky turn 11, of course, ABS restricted, so it's going to be quite tricky to get the braking right, and very well, a lot of time to gain as well if you do get it right, as he comes through now turns 12 and then the flat out turn 13 to just finish up his lap is through the penultimate and then final corner, as it doesn't look like he's taking this too quickly, maybe a little bit cautious as he actually loses it, and well, that's an invalidation, so he's not going to be going and setting a lap time at this stage, as Rocco Walsh is on a lap as well, also on the mediums in the Alfa Romeo. He goes through turn 11 as well, and he's going to be looking to at least get somewhat into the top 10 right now. Only 10 people setting times at the moment, of course, and it looks like maybe one of the McLarens, I'm sure Dylan Day is going to be setting a lap in a few moments, as he does, and he goes third, of course, the third person to be on the softs as well, into the 29s, and Rocco Walsh now is going to be coming across the line, and we'll see where that puts him compared to everyone else in the mediums, and it's going to be 9:30.9, and I think there was someone behind him as well. That was actually the other Alfa Romeo. So maybe a bit of team strategy here, I'm not sure. I think they're teammates actually, if I remember correctly. Regardless though, Paco Suarez going through sector 1, and he's going to be finishing up in a second. I would not be thinking this is going to be a purple sector 1, as of course it isn't, didn't flash up purple on the track map, but here you go, I'm pretty sure they are teammates, as if this isn't anything else to go by, as he's getting slipstream from his teammate Rocco Walsh. Rocco's going to go to the left hand side, and then on goes Paco with his lap and through turns 8 and turns 9, and he's going to invalidate on the inside there going through turn 9, and that's going to be the end of his lap as well. Unfortunate for Paco Suarez, of course, on the softs, so he was looking to get probably 4th. I mean, a small mistake could have been 6th, but yeah, well, he would have been looking to get up the grid at least, as Lordy and that are all in the pits. Enrico now is going through the penultimate corner, as through he goes, and then through to the final corner, as I think that's a Haas ahead of him. I'm not completely sure, as I only got a glimpse of it, but he opens up DRS as someone just crossed the line there. But across the line for Enrico, and he's going to go 5th with a 29.9, just about getting into the 29s, and actually a small mistake could have put him 7th, so you can see how close Cameron and Lewis Millam are to each other. Of course, a Ferrari and Alpine, I would assume they're fairly similar in pace as well. As Ross Denholm actually setting a lap, it seems, as well recently, as he puts himself 2nd, as of course as well Timer Azim putting himself in P3 in the Aston Martin. Two AlphaTauris putting themselves 8 and 9. That's Ollie and Jared Fosbury. Across the line for Edward Hart to start his lap as well, so he's going to be going through turns 1 and turns 2. You want to take a lot of curb, didn't really take too much, didn't actually touch the curb for the turn 1 there at all, so looks to be taking this first lap cautiously. Of course, it's only 6, well actually, first lap on the softs I should say, as there is 6 minutes left. He has set a banker on the mediums, so maybe just taking it cautiously, seeing what he can do, as of course just a few moments ago finished up sector 1 as he exits turn 7 and opens up the DRS flap as he approaches now heavy braking zone of turns 8 and then through to turns 9 as well. The chicane separating these two straights, two very good overtaking opportunities for the race as well, as through goes the Ferrari, as I think someone else may have set a lap there recently, I'm not completely sure, but Edward remains 10th nonetheless, is now actually purple in the second sector, so clearly running low wings, at least you would be expecting, is it's only really one chicane that you need to navigate going through for sector 2, but he continues on here as through turns 12, a little bit of a correction maybe as he heard the rear tyres a little bit there, but through the penultimate corner now and then through the final corner, and he's going to be finishing up here. Should be able to get a fairly confident P3 at least, but he's going to be coming across the line now, and it's going to be 4th actually. So despite that purple sector 2, not good enough, and he's going to be settling for P4 at least at the moment. Might be able to get another lap in by the end, as now Cameron Young, he is on an invalid lap time, as the other Ferrari of Lewis Millen now is looking to set his lap on the softs, as he's also only got a banker on the mediums, and through the penultimate corner and final corner for him as he approaches the DRS zone, and he's going to open it up, and he's done all he can, so he's going to be crossing the line in a few moments. And what can he do now across the line? It's going to be a 29.0, just ahead of the other Ferrari, of course, of Edward Hart, who set his lap a few moments ago. So very close between the two Ferraris. Most people in the pit now, so they're just going to be waiting till the last minute. Rocco Walsh is actually on a lap, he's getting on with it, and you can see his teammate there not too far up the road either, Paco Suarez, as he goes through turns 4, 5 and 6, and now through turn 6 for Rocco Walsh, and then the flat out turn 7 he's going to get the DRS open, he's going to get slipstream from his teammate as well, so it's going to be a little bit of a help certainly. Of course these Alfa Romeo cars will need it for sure, as out of the way goes Paco right up on the curb for Rocco Walsh, and he gets on with it his lap through turns 8 and 9, and then of course flat out with the little kink that isn't actually a corner, and a purple sector 2 for Rocco Walsh, as with the slipstream certainly helping him out. Now through turn 11 there's a slow AlphaTauri, I'm not sure which one that would be, as both of them are on outlaps, but through turn 12 for Rocco Walsh now, down to 3rd gear and up to 4th on the exit, right up on the curb of turn 13, and through the penultimate corner of turn 14, approaching the final corner. You can see the AlphaTauri there, it's not going to affect him though, and through the final corner he goes. He's going to be opening up the DRS flap, as you can see there. And has he done enough? He's surely going to get into top 10 at least. And there you go, right up into P6, 29.4 in the Alfa Romeo as well. Very strong lap from Rocco Walsh there. And I think Paco Suarez is going to be setting his time right after, as he is. Of course, Rocco Walsh just up the road, so I think he's going to be returning the favour now, as Paco goes through turns 3, 4 and 5. Can gain and lose a lot of time now through here as well. Turn 6, if you can get the acceleration right and use the track in the right way, you can really slingshot your way out of turn 7, as of course he does that quite nicely, and he's going to be in the slipstream of his teammate, opening up the DRS flap, and Rocco's surely, there you go, he's going to get out of the way, up on the curb for Paco Suarez, and through turns 8 and 9. He invalidated there last time, he's not going to invalidate there this time, and he continues on with his lap as he's going to be finishing up sector 2. I would be expecting no, actually. So even with the slipstream, not able to set a purple sector 2, but through he goes. Of course a flat turn 10, and then he's approaching very tricky turn 11 with under braking, and then the second part of it flat out to exit, and a very nice exit that corner has as well, and then through turn 12 right up on the curb for turn 13, or at least some people have been doing. He stays off it, and then through the final two corners, turns 14 and 15 through it now, and he's going to be opening up DRS in a few moments. So he's done all he can as he opens the flap, and he's going to be crossing the line now. No lap currently for Paco Suarez, and up to 8th at 29.73 tenths off his teammate, of course in equal machinery as well. And pretty much everyone you can see now on their out laps. Jared Fosbury is on valid lap, so he's not going to be improving at all. And Ollie Flavel, that is on a lap, but seems like he's backed off, and he's probably going to go again right at the end. Interestingly though, Nino hasn't actually gone out for a final lap, maybe looking to save, well, that was the other one. That was Dylan Day. This is a quali ban. Someone hasn't read the rules. I think this is as clear as it gets. Yep, that's as quali ban as it gets. Not smart. Anyway, though, we're gonna have to go on board now. Of course, Timer Azim is currently in P2 in the Aston Martin. He's going to be looking to improve as he goes through turn 9, and he's going to be finishing up the second sector. Of course, he's currently P2. He's going to be looking for a provisional pole position as he sets a purple sector 2 as well, so he's helping himself out on his way to what he hopes is at least a 5/10 improvement. And now through turn 11 now, and he slingshots his way out of it, and then approaches turn 12 again, and someone has improved. That's Enrico just crossing the line in the Red Bull. He improves to P3. Timura, I should say, is going through turns 14 and 15 now, as he's going to be finishing up as Ross Denholm crosses the line. I don't think he was able to improve on his position. Opening up the DRS now. How much can he improve by across the line? And it's going to be about a 2/10 improvement, but not enough to beat Nino on pole in that Red Bull. Of course, Lewis Millam, it looks like he's going quite slowly, and so is Edward Hart. So they're finished for the day. Someone had quite the improvement there. I'm not sure who that was. I think that may have been Thomas McGyver going into 8th maybe, as there was also AlphaTauri who crossed the line. Matthew Older, though, of course, he won last week in Belgium. He is not even in the top 10. Of course, he is in the Haas. It is a slowest car. You know, if you win, you get put in the slowest car. But yeah, not even seeing the top 10. He'll have the reverse strategy for the race, so I'm sure. So Nino Romanello, I don't think to anyone's surprise, takes pole position. Timer Azim in 2nd, and then Ross Denholm takes 3rd position. Enrico in 4th, Lewis Millam in 5th, Edward Hart in 6th, Rocco Walsh 7th, Thomas McGyver in 8th, Dylan Day in 9th, and then Paco rounds out the top 10. And then Jared Fosbury, Cameron Young in 12th, Matthew Older, of course, in 13th, Ollie Flavel, Greenwood in 15th, and then Mr. Grumpy, that's Dale Kelleher. I remember that from last week. And of course, Lordy is at the back of the grid, who did not actually set a time. Which I think that was intentional, if I can remember, because I've heard him say before that if he's in a Merc, he would expect to win, or at least be up there, so he'd prefer to go through the field and do it like he did in Japan. I think that would have been last season. Also, on that day he was in a Merc, so seeing some similarities there. Okay, that 2 did go up, that's good. Just quickly check the chat. I don't think anyone said anything. No. So I'll just get all this up on the screen before I forget. So yeah, would be expecting Nino to convert this pole position. Don't think there's really anyone who would be challenging him. Of course, he did have pole by 3/10, and he said it early in the session, didn't even go out for a last lap, so he also has an extra set of softs, or you would expect him to have an extra set of softs anyway, as there's Timer Azim, of course, in second in that Aston Martin. He's going to be looking for a good start, and also to cover off Ross Denham, who was only 5/10 off Nino, and well, then 2/10 off Timer, who was in second, so be wanting to watch out for him. Of course, the McLaren, certainly a fast car, and then Enrico in the Red Bull, the other Red Bull, starting in fourth, and then there's the two Ferraris of Lewis Millam and Edward Hart in sixth, Rocco Walsh sitting a very nice P7 in the Alfa Romeo, Thomas MacGyver in eighth in the Alpine, Dylan Day in ninth, and Pecco Suarez, of course, in 10th. So outside of the top 10, Jared Fosbury, Cameron Young, Greenwood and Dale Kelleher all going for the mediums, and then Matthew, Ollie and Lordy opting for the hards. So a little split at the back, as 4 mediums, 3 for hards. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out. Of course, the medium runners will be wanting to make overtakes a little bit earlier in the race. The hard runners are going to be wanting to go a little further into the race and make their overtakes later on, as Matthew Alder gets disqualified from the formation lap, so that's going to be a little annoying for him. Don't know why it was showing me a mark there, but round the final corner for Nino, and they'll all be forming up for the grid start. And of course Nino has the inside for turn 1 as well, that's where he starts. So he should be able to cover off Timer, even if he does, unless he has a very, very bad start. Nino on pole, but here we go then, as everyone more or less forms up, and we'll get a green flag. So here we go then, 5 red lights for the French Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go. It looks like Timer may have actually got a better start than Nino Romanello. Side by side they go, I think, into turn 1. Of course, Nino's still going to hold that inside line, and he's going to squeeze him out through turn 2. And he's going to retain his lead. Enrico making his way up a few places up into third. Ross Denham dropping down to fourth as they funnel themselves through turn 3. And in the background, I think there's quite a bit of fighting there as the two Alpines are going side by side. That's Thomas MacGyver and Cameron Young on the inside, as there's an Alfa Romeo, and I think Matthew Waller is going side by side there as well momentarily, but through goes Cameron Young now on the mediums. Jared Fosbury also getting quite a nice start, both of them on the mediums, making their way into the top 10. Ollie Flavel, I think, may have spun. There has been a spin, and I think that's some wing damage as well out of turn 7 for Ollie Flavel. I think the Ferrari of Edward Hart may have been involved in that as well, but it looks like he was fairly okay, and the two Haas's now going side by side, and actually they were fighting for the win last week as well, as Matthew Alder goes through on Dale Kelleher and makes a place up into 13th, but back to the front though, stayed fairly the same as Lewis Millam makes a move on Ross Denham, as well as Ross loses another place. Of course, he started up in third, but the lead though, Nino Romanello leads ahead of Timer still, but Timer is still keeping him honest, still in that DRS, of course, and it's going to be crucial to stay there for lap 3. As you can see, Enrico a little bit under pressure from Lewis Millam. Lewis might be able to make a move into turn 1 as he closes up. He looks down the inside as well, but he wasn't able to be close enough, and the Red Bull is going to retain his position for now at least, as the two McLarens. So you can see Dylan Day actually clearly was making his way through the field as well, as the two McLarens funnel through in 5th and 6th, and Jared Fosbury I think is getting overtaken now by Cameron Young. Of course, side by side they go through turn 5, and then outside for turn 6. Cameron Young still trying to hang it around the outside. He's going to have the inside for turn 7 as they go onto the main straight, or the back straight at least, is right off the track goes Jared Fosbury, as you can see in the slipstream of the Alpine using the ERS as well, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. He might just dive it anyway, though, side by side, and I think he did back out of it. Very sensible from Jared Fosbury. And Cameron Young is going to go through, but a little bit under pressure now from Paco Suarez in 10th, who's on the softs right now. Of course, he started in 10th, and he remains in 10th place. It's through turn 10 they go, and I think they're going to remain as is, as now a little bit of fighting. I can't find the button. There you go. As two McLarens side by side. Dylan Day is on the outside, Ross Denham on the inside. It's going to give Dylan Day the inside for turn 13, and it's going to be the inside for the final corner as well, as still trying to hang it around the outside, still side by side between the two of them for 5th place, as they're still trying to keep with the Ferrari, I'm sure, as well. Still side by side, and there you go. Ross Denham is actually going to come out better in that little battle that the McLarens are having. And Dylan Day also getting a penalty. I'm not sure how recent it was, if he just got on this lap, but could actually shake. It may have been all 3 seconds for everyone at the moment, as Enrico also getting a 3-second penalty up in 3rd, so not what you want when you're fighting for the podium places. As a little update there, Nino pulling a gap of 1.7 seconds now, so he's really getting on with it, and you can see the Red Bull pulling a little bit away from the Ferrari. Of course, the Red Bull certainly quicker in the straight line anyway, as they go through turn 7 and 8, but right up the back of him, right up the gearbox, Lewis Millam is in 4th, and he's going to be looking for this move, but I don't think he's close enough anymore, as clearly a much better exit from the Red Bull as they go through turn 10 now, and it's yellow flags. Matthew Alder has just picked up a 3-second penalty, but I don't think that's related, as leading this train at the back, Cameron Young ahead of Jared Fosbury still. Paco Suarez in 10th, Matthew Alder of course in 11th, just getting a penalty a few moments ago, so really not what he needs, as he is currently leading the championship, given he won last week, as he continues to follow Paco Suarez. Of course, he is on the hards, Paco Suarez on the softs. Paco should still have the pace advantage on the softs. Softs still should be good, more or less, but they would be starting to die off around now, lap 4, lap 5, I would say. As still, this fight for 3rd continues. It's 1.6 seconds that timer has pulled on Enrico as well, though, so he's doing a good job there to solidify at least the 2nd place, as Nino continues to extend that gap. But you can see here there's going to be DRS inactivation for Lewis Millam, and he's certainly going to be closing as we approach turn 7, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough. You can see how much he's gained as he looks down the inside, has a little bit of a look, but he's not going to be able to be close enough once again, as through turns 7 and 8 they go, and still right up the back of him. I think he's going to be using a bit of ERS. I think he's going to be going for a move as well down the inside of turn 10, side by side between the two. The Ferrari, of course, having the inside. He'll have the inside for turn 11 as well, unless there's actually been a little bit of a touch, and round goes Enrico, almost into the barrier. Lewis Millam is going to be able to continue in 3rd place, and the two McLarens, of course, are going to benefit in 4th and 5th now. But it seems like the Ferrari may have clipped Enrico's rear and sent him round a bit, or he'd lost the rear end on his own. I'm not completely sure. The angle didn't show it very well. But yeah, Lewis Millam now up to 3rd, and unfortunately for Enrico, he's now out of the points and still has that penalty as well. As into the pits goes Enrico. A very early stop, you can say. I would be expecting the hards to go on. On go the medium, so it looks like a 2-stop for Enrico then. As on the inside, it looks like Dylan Day, of course, was trying to make this move. It's actually Lewis Millam has made a mistake, it seems, as he's lost the place to both of the McLarens, and now Dylan Day is going to be looking for a move on his McLaren teammate for today, and through he goes fairly simply up into P3. And of course Ross Denham dropping to 4th, but Lewis Millam dropping down to 5th. He was running 3rd, so that's interesting. Maybe both McLarens getting through in DRS. Maybe he made a mistake, I'm not sure. As Rocco Walsh at the back of this train as well, so he's doing very well in the Alfa Romeo to put himself in a P6, and if he can keep in this train, he could be looking potentially at a podium with himself, of course, having no penalties. Same with Lewis, though, so gonna have to have a little bit of a fight between them two to decide the final podium place. But of course, two McLarens both with a penalty, and Dylan Day, of course, as well, inheriting a 10-second penalty from last week for an incident that happened, I think it was on roughly lap 2, but in goes Dylan Day, though, speaking of him. And he's going to be pitting here on lap 6. And of course, his teammate is going to have to continue on for at least another lap. And Lewis Millam and Rocco Walsh inheriting P4 and P5, of course. And right down to P14 for Dylan Day. So, quite the stop. And he's still going through. And out of the pits he goes. Maybe he had a wing change, I'm not sure. But it seems like quite a long time to be in the pit lane. It seems like a lot of time to have lost, but maybe not. As actually the fight for the lead might be getting a little interesting soon. As Enrico gets a 3-second penalty. It looks like Nino has recently at least got a 3-second penalty as well. As I think Jared Fosbury and Matthew Alder might be fighting. They are, as Matthew Alder trying to go around the outside of not necessarily a corner, but still they fight on. And Jared Fosbury right up the back of Matthew Alder, and I think in the background they're fighting as well. But I think Jared Fosbury might be going for a move again, as he has the quicker straight line speed, of course, being in that AlphaTauri. Side by side between the two, right up the inside goes Jared Fosbury. Still side by side, Matthew Alder hangs it around the outside, still side by side, but I think Matthew Alder could have it. But no, beautiful switchback actually from Jared Fosbury to continue side by side between the two through turns 14 and 15 now, as a little bit of a touch, but I think Jared Fosbury has this, as into the pits in the background goes Lordy, I think it is, or Lewis Millam. I'm not completely sure which one it is. That should be actually no, it's not. That's it. Whatever. Matthew Alder goes back through Jared Fosbury, as Jared Fosbury just made an overtake, and unfortunately for Jared, didn't last long, as the next straight Matthew Alder with some DRS, and I'm sure ERS as well, in activation to help him out, goes through. And it seems like, yeah, Ross Denham is now pit, and he's actually behind his McLaren teammate. So it looks like he do just kind of lose that much time, as down the inside for Cameron Young, Matthew Alder and Jared Fosbury again are fighting it out for this currently at least 4th place. As I think it's roughly a net P6 that they're fighting for, as around the outside goes Jared Fosbury. At least he tries it around the outside. It looks like he's still going to hang it around the outside through turn 11. Now a switchback from Jared Fosbury. A nice little fight that they're having here, and neither of them giving more than they have to, and some very nice switchbacks. Another switchback from Jared Fosbury, but actually they've touched, and Jared Fosbury's going around down to 8th place. He might lose a couple more places, now down to 10th. Just on the inside, clipped Matthew's rear, and Matthew Alder continues through, and he's of course going to inherit a P4 from that. Jared Fosbury now down to 10th, unfortunately for him, as in goes Lewis Millam in the Ferrari, and I think that someone else, Nino Romanello, actually the race leader, has also pit. He's emerging in what looks like an 8th place, 9th place actually, just behind Jared Fosbury, so not a place where Nino would have wanted to come out of the pit lane, but he's right up the back of Jared Fosbury. He's going to be looking for this move. He's using the ERS as well, down the inside, getting right on the back of Jared Fosbury, and he's making the move. He's not wasting any time, and through turns 5, and he's up into 8th place, and now I think he's going to be making a move on Dale Keller. As you can see, the grip, he's almost looking down the inside of turn 7 as well, as right behind him he's going to open up the DRS flap. So is Dale Keller, unfortunately for Nino's sake though, but I don't think it'll matter. He's going to be looking down the inside now. Nino Romanello making another move side by side on the inside for turn 7, and he's going to be able to make quick work of the Haas as well. And now the next target is going to be Greenwood, of course, Johnny Greenwood, as in the slipstream. He's going to be using ERS, I'm sure, as through turn 10 is going to be looking around the outside now. Nino really not wasting any time through this train. Of course, he came out behind them at the start of the lap, but right round the outside. Quick work of all of them, and he's through into clean air in P6. Pecco Sora is, of course, the next one to overtake, but I would assume he's going to be pitting probably this lap, as yeah, through he goes into the pit lane. And then, of course, it's just left Timer Azim to inherit the lead as he just continues on. The last person to stay out on the softs, of course. And then Cameron Young going to be fighting it out, and Matthew Walder with the company of Lordy right behind him as well in the Mercedes. Of course, Lordy did start at the back, which I assume is intentional. So he's making his way through the grid, of course, on the hards as well, so he'd be able to put on probably a set of softs. As a normal strategy, I would think, is a soft hard. So if you flip it, then the soft should be fine at the end. But Nino Romanello surely closing that train very quickly, but I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to make the moves on the next train that he is approaching, of course, as now the Haas of Dale Keller is looking for a move on Greenwood. Of course, Matthew Walder made it a few moments ago. He might actually got on the inside of turn 7. He thinks better of it. Certainly the move was there, as Lordy's actually making a move on Matthew Walder there, just down the inside he goes fairly simply. Matthew Walder might come back at him here though on turn 11. He's not actually, as he's going to have to stick behind Andy Haas of Dale Keller, simultaneously looking for a move on Greenwood, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it, as the Aston Martin makes a small mistake maybe going on the entry, but not enough for a move to be made. As you can see, Dylan Day actually, of course, he's made his pit stop, and he's going to be looking for a move as soon as he can on Jared Fosbury. He's trying to get a move on, and actually Dale Keller on the inside of Jared Fosbury. I think this is Jared Fosbury trying to make a move on him though, as he gets squeezed right off the track, 3 wide momentarily. Dylan Day goes through and still side by side, but I think Jared Fosbury is going to be able to come out on top here, as out of the pit lane Timer Azim, and he's well off Nino Romanello, so staying out certainly not what he needed. There's a spin. That is Jared Fosbury again spinning around, as he was fighting with Dale Keller, and he's down to 12th place. And I think that might be some damage for that Haas as well, as he's slowing down. Maybe he thinks that he feels bad about it, I'm not sure, but it seems like he has slowed down fairly significantly as a few people go through. But yeah, wing damage for the Haas and a spin for Jared Fosbury, as Dylan Day won't mind. Of course, he's gone through, and he's going to be able to start making inroads on the top 3, who are still fighting away for this lead. Of course, Cameron Young in the Alpine finds himself leading. Of course, he's on the medium, so he's going to have to switch over to what I can only assume is going to be the hards, making an earlier stop than Lordy and Matthew Walder, of course. But I don't think he's going to hold this lead for much longer, as Lordy right up the back of him now. He's going to be opening up DRS. He's surely going to have some ERS to use as well, as in the slipstream he's going to pull to the right hand side of the track, and side by side through turn 1, and the Red Bull also trying to make a move in the background. That's Nino Romanello on Matthew Walder. It looks like both moves have been successful. Nino Romanello now finds himself fighting once again for the lead. Of course, he has led in at least a net P1 from start to finish, and I think he's going to be making a move very soon as we go through onto the straight. As a little mistake for Cameron Young as he goes out of turn 5, and Nino Romanello, the 2 Welshman, actually going to be going side by side momentarily, I think, as opening up the DRS. But actually Cameron Young might be able to come back at Lordy here, as he's going to be going down the inside. Nino Romanello is going to try and get involved, or maybe stay back, I'm not sure. It looks like he may have gone down the inside. He is trying to. Nino gets a penalty for it though, and on the outside Lordy is going to be for the no-name corner, or not really a corner, but regardless, so Nino goes through, and Cameron Young also goes through, and now Lordy's under pressure from Matthew Walden in the background. The 2 Welshmen now are trying to fight it out for the lead of this race. Nino Romanello looking for a move on the outside, maybe inside, and he's going to look down the inside, and I think it's going to be a fairly simple move, and he once again finds himself leading this Grand Prix, and Matthew Walden in the background was successful in his move on Lordy as well. So very nice fights for the lead here, as Nino really just saying hi and then going off into the distance, because he's going to have much fresher tyres and much quicker tyres as a result than these three. So I think these three will continue to fight, and I think Nino Romanello will be going off into the distance now once they get through Sector 1. The first few corners certainly going to be helping him out to make that gap before the back straight. And now Timer Azim making quick work of Dylan Day. Of course, Dylan actually undercut him on the pit stops for pitting much earlier, but now Timer, of course, on the fresher mediums, was able to catch back up, and he's going to be on his way. But I don't think Dylan Day is going to give this up too easily, though, as of course in the McLaren the lap difference is 4 laps, but I think he should be able to hold on for a little bit, unless Timer has quite the pace advantage over him. As you can see, this fight continues. At the front, Nino Romanello has pulled that 1 second gap, so it's really these three that find themselves fighting once again for what will probably be around 4th place once they make their pit stops and funnel out through into whatever train that they're going to be emerging into. But Matthew Walder still trying to make a move on Cameron Young, and actually round Nino Romanello. He was leading this race, as I just got some sort of view on it. Nino Romanello round, and well, he's gonna have to make all that hard work up again, as he had fought these three. He passed these three, as these three continue to fight. And Nino Romanello now down to 4th place, and he finds Timer not too far away either, but still, these guys continue to fight as Lordy makes a move on Matthew Walder. Of course, the Merc engine versus Ferrari engine, and a Merc versus a Haas. I mean, in the straight line, it's always going to be the Merc winning that drag race. But Cameron Young now leads this train once again, as you can see Nino in the background there. As I don't think any moves are actually going to be made at the moment, at least. But good for Timer. Timer Azim finds himself in a position where he could win this race, because Nino Romanello, if I just bring it up, has 9 seconds of penalties. Timer Azim, of course, has none. He has no penalties carrying over from last week either. So he really has not all that much to worry about us. I think Ollie Favre may be making a move on Thomas McIver recently. Only for 15th place, but still, an overtake is an overtake. Speaking of overtakes, for the lead of this race now, of course, Lordy trying to make a move on Cameron Young once again, as he's looking on the outside, maybe for the inside of the final corner, but he's going to stick behind, and he's going to open up the DRS in a few moments as well. So I think this is going to be a fairly easy move. You would expect it to be a fairly easy move, as he goes to the right hand side once again around the outside for Lordy, and he's going to be side by side. Cameron Young isn't going to fight it too much, and the Mercedes is going to be able to go through and take the lead of this race. But here's Nino Romanello again, almost back within the DRS range. Through these corners, he's certainly going to be back into this fight. But with these three fighting, I don't think it's going to be so easy for Nino. As of course, he's got a spin on his tires as well. That's going to add a little bit extra wear. As well, a nice little train there, like following each other. And Lordy is going to get passed by Cameron Young by the end of it. So Lordy's tactics not quite working, unfortunately for him. But I think he's going to be able to come back at him, though. Will he go to the left or the right? Cameron seals off the right-hand side. Closes door, absolutely. And as he should, very nicely there. And through turn 11, Cameron Young is going to retake the lead of this race. But for how much longer, though? Lordy might have made a move, or at least he was very close to making a move in turn 11. Now, out of turn 12, Nino Romanello, by the way, is making quick work of Matthew Walder once again. In turn 12 at the exit, he makes that move. Lordy is still trying to make this move on Cameron Young, and of course Nino Romanello isn't going to be liking this, getting caught up in a fight when really he needs to be getting away from Timer Azim, who's not too far off this fight, as side by side once again they go, And the Mercedes, again, just like last lap, is going to go through before turn 1, and he's going to retake the lead once again as they funnel through. And the Red Bull of Nino Romanello, who has been leading this race in the net lead still. Of course, the spin didn't put him behind Timer. But, yeah, still trying to make this move work for the second time on these race leaders. And out of turn 7, I think this is going to be fairly easy as Lordy pulls to the left-hand side of the track to try and break the toe. Of course, Cameron Young follows him, as does Nino Romanello. But actually, Nino again spins, but this time, and he resets the track as well. Well, that's kind of a 5-second pen, if that ends up being reported. But, yeah, on the inside of Cameron Young, clipped his rear, and now Timer does find himself in the net lead this time. And Dylan Day, we have a fight between the 3 net leaders. Of course, once the top 3 pit, this is going to be our fight for the lead, as you can see them funneling through turn 12, just for a split second there. We've kind of got 2 fights. You know, we got the net lead of the race, you've got the fight for that, and you've got the actual lead for the race, which is of course Lordy, Cameron and Matthew Alder, who all haven't pit yet. But into the pits now, Dylan Day. This is an interesting call because it has started raining here, so it's going to be interesting. What is he going to be putting on? On go the hard tires. Very interesting strategy call. Would have thought he'd be staying out and trying to go to the wet period and put on some inters, but he's decided it's better to just put on mediums. And of course it helps out Timer, Azim and Nino to just make it a one-way fight between themselves. As into the pits, that's an action overtake. Pacosaurus just inheriting a P9 after Dylan Day's pit stop, but it looks like Nino Romanello is going to be making this move. He pulls to the left-hand side and he's going to be up into 4th place, once again ahead of Timer. So clearly you can see who has the pace advantage right now. Of course, Nino Romanello's tires are a little bit older. The Red Bull is a quicker car though than the Aston Martin, as you know. But yeah, right now Nino has the pace advantage, but certainly the penalty advantage going to Timer, as it looks like Timer could easily, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes of his own, could kind of just cruise to this race win if he can just stay in 9 seconds and, you know, continues to get held up by these 3 leaders. But as you can see now, it's getting a little bit more heavy, the rain, as we approach turn, well, lap 17 I should say. And by the way, Lordy has gapped the fight for the lead, as he's going to be able to continue on his way. So of course he started in last, and now he has a fairly good lead for the race. As another 3-second penalty for Nino Romanello. That's going to be 12 seconds altogether. Makes Timer's job a little bit easier, as if it wasn't already easy. But now Matthew Walder trying to make a move on Cameron Young as through turn 7, and he's going to be opening up the DRS, so clearly not time for inters as of right now, but certainly Matthew Walder is going to be making a move. Nino Romanello actually right there as well for the taking. He's going to be looking for a move maybe around the outside of Cameron Young, his fellow Welshman, and he's going to be able to make that move as he gets right up on the curb, but still side by side between the two of them. Cameron Young on the inside, Nino Romanello on the outside, of course, for the flat right-hander of turn 10. Still going side by side. Nino Romanello is going to be able to hang it right around the outside. Of course, the fresher tires, those mediums, certainly going to be helping him out, and through up into P3, the podium places once again he goes. And now it looks like he might be able to make a move on Matthew Walder a little sooner rather than later as well, as Edward Hart gets a 3-second time penalty, or maybe another, I'm not really sure. Right now only Timer and Rocco Walsh yet to get a penalty, as right into the pit lane goes Cameron Young. So of course he was fighting for the lead of the race for quite a bit. He was under pressure from Matthew Walder, got overtaken by Matthew Walder, and now Nino Romanello is actually looking for an overtake of Matthew Walder down the inside of turn 1, and he's going to be able to make that work. But Cameron Young now onto the softs, and he's going to be exiting the pit lane in what I would assume is behind Dylan Day, maybe just with Dylan Day, it depends, but he's going to be coming out of the pit lane now. There goes Dylan Day, you can see Dylan Day there, and actually he's going to get out just ahead, so very close between those two, but Cameron Young is going to be able to continue on his way, and of course on the soft tires, so it looks like, according to that, there will be rain strong enough for Inters by the end of this race. As Rocco Walsh also, I think, just took a pit stop there. Down to 13th, but of course on fresh softs right now. And now Nino is right up the back of Lordy once again, as he's going to be looking to retake the lead of this race once again. As you can see, the grip certainly in Nino's favour as he goes through, and a little bit of lag there. Clearly Nino not actually making an overtake, Lordy not going deep either. As they funnel through the final few corners. Matthew Walder still keeping these guys honest in the Haas. It just shows how good he is, that he can stick with this fight for the lead. You know, there's a Mercedes and a Red Bull ahead of him, and he's in a Haas himself, but he can stay in the DRS. He's just so good at this kind of thing. Nino Romanello now still looking for a way around Lordy, but can't make it work as Dylan Dane, well, actually down in 8th, gets another penalty. As Nino Romanello getting very close to the gearbox of Lordy. Luckily for him, not making any contact, not risking anything for his wing. But through the exit of turn 7, he's going to be opening up the DRS, but he's not using any ERS. But I don't think it's actually going to matter. He is actually closing quite a bit, a lot more than I thought would be the case. But side by side between the two, and it looks like Lordy now has been the one to spin. Of course, Nino had his fair share of spins. Now Lordy is unfortunately victim to a spin, going side by side. Nino Romanello had it happen to him earlier in this race. Of course, that was going side by side with, I think, Cameron Young, as he was trying to go down the inside, and Matthew Alder actually goes through now on Cameron Young after the little bit of contact. So I guess Cameron Young, I shouldn't say, Nino Romanello, mixing up the two Welshmen. But yeah, Matthew Walder making an overtake on Nino and retaking, well, not retaking, I'm not sure if he has actually led yet, but into the pit lane now for both of them, and looks like Nino's trying to make a move on Matthew Walder. He had a little bit of a touch. Luckily, Matthew doesn't get a 5-second time penalty, or at least it didn't pop up on the screen. So would be expecting people to be boxing now, or at least that's what it looks like, judging by what Nino and Matthew are doing. On go the Inters. Matthew Walder going to be just out ahead, you would expect, of Nino, as there you go. A little bit of ghosting though, as they're going to merge in 6th and 7th, just ahead of Dylan Day. You can see Dylan Day there, but again Dylan Day was not able to make an undercut work, unfortunately. And now this is actually the fight for the lead. As you can see, they have much more grip on the Inters compared to what they had last lap, and down the inside for Nino Romanello and up into P6, and what you would expect to be the net lead after everyone else makes their pit stop for Inters. As you can see, actually, the difference between Dries and Inters, it seems like Dries may actually still be quicker. So maybe that was a lap too early for the intermediate tires, as Dylan Day fairly easily goes through. And now he's going to be making a move on Nino Romanello down the inside, and he's going to have this move well done before the corner, as through, he isn't actually. Nino Romanello, excuse me, is going to be holding on for another corner at least, but through goes Dylan Day there, so you can see the grip is certainly in the slicks advantage. So it does look like they pit a lap early. And now Timer is going to be boxing the next lap, and actually Lordy is going to be staying out, very interestingly, so he doesn't think that it's early enough for Inters. Ross Denham also going into the pit lane, Lewis Millam staying out, Cameron Young is also going to be staying out, of course on his fresh softs, although it looks like it's getting very slippery as into the pit. Dylan Day now on his hard tyres. Nino Romanello is going to be going through on, of course, his intermediates. and same with Matthew Walder. So has this worked in their favour though? Timer is going to be right out ahead of them. He emerges in provisional, net P1 I should say. Nino Romanello goes through, of course he's in 5th, that's a net P2, so Timer, staying out that extra lap, has actually gapped the two behind him. As you can see, he's gapped them by over a second. So staying out that extra lap, the 6 definitely were better on the previous lap, and now I think it would be the Inter's advantage, but yeah, it was 1 lap too early for Matthew and Cameron, or Matthew and Nino, my bad. Excuse me, but yeah, too early for the Inters, and Timer takes advantage of it. As I think there's a little bit of a fight here, maybe. As Greenwood on the intermediate tires, and Thomas McIver on the softs, as that's Ollie Flavel going slowly. As Lewis Millam, what has happened to Lewis? Full safety car. I think we're going to see what happened on the right hand side. I think it was just at the pit lane, maybe just before the pit lane. You can see his stricken car on the right hand side. You can see the tire marks as well. So Lewis Millam out of this race, and we now have a full safety car. And has this helped? It has actually helped Lordy, as you can see the safety car behind him. Unless the safety car is going to chase him down. Not sure. Usually the safety car would have stopped by now. I think it might be chasing him. Or I'm not sure. You can see the safety car trying to go around. Of course, it already has passed it. And everyone is going to get an opportunity to come to the pits for a fresh set of intermediates. And this is going to be to the end of the race, so it's going to be actually a 5-lap sprint race right at the end. As you can see, everyone who hasn't pitted yet for the Inters now getting into the pits. Although for Edward Hart, though, I think he'll have to stay out another lap. At least. Because if he pits this lap, he's going to be a lap down. Yep, he's going to have to stay out. As I would have expected. No surprises there, because he doesn't want to be a lap down. And actually, well, yeah, of course, into the pit lane for Lordy. So this has helped Lordy out a ton, because second is Timer, but they are under the safety car rules. They can't go all too fast. Of course, Lordy is under pit lane rules. On the exit, he's going to be allowed to go as fast as he wants. As around the final corner for Timer, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Lordy, it might actually end up being side by side here, as you'll see Timer on the left hand side, of course. Out goes Lordy, and he has inherited a P1, so the safety car, Lordy's staying out for the extra lap. Of course, you can't predict the safety car, but he did stay out that extra lap, and it's helped him out fully, because now he finds himself leading this race in a net P1 when he started right at the back. So again, Lordy, I would have expected, started on the back on purpose. In Japan, it worked out fairly well, because I'm pretty sure at least he got a podium. I can't quite remember what happened in that race. But right now he's setting himself up to at least take a podium, as we can check the penalties. 3-second penalty. So if he could actually gap Timer, he could end up winning this race from last place. Which, well, I mean, that already gives... that warrants a driver of the day vote anyway. As you can see, Lickel's been able to gap this safety car train by staying out that extra lap. He's going to have to pit now for a set of intermediates. As actually, he's going to stay out. another lap. So more focused on catching up, so I'll just check. Tom is okay. Tom saying, "Don't be silly." Don't be silly about what? Also, hello, Tom. Yeah, Rocco's actually... That is a good point. Rocco is in a very good position. Of course, without penalties, timer as well, of course, he's in second. If he can keep within 3 seconds of Lordy, of course, warranted that, they don't get overtaken, and maybe Matthew or something starts pulling a bit of a gap, but, yeah, timer in a very good position, and same with Rocco. He could end up actually with a podium if, we'll just take the penalties. So realistically, Rocco should get ahead of Nino, should get ahead of Matthew, Cameron as well, and then Ross and Dylan Day should be fairly close to him. So yeah, he could actually be looking at a podium. Of course, the fight for the lead, however, a little bit more of a grey area, because realistically it's going to be Lordy or it's going to be Timer. It's just, if Lordy can pull a gap, then it'll be Lordy. If Timer can stick with him, then it's going to be Timer. But again, as well, if Timer ends up getting a penalty, then it's going to be Lordy's to lose, really. So it's a good kind of lineup that we have. A good prospect for the last few laps. So I'll just try and get the stream up on my phone really quick. As it's still under the safety car. One person who's not in a good position anyway is Edward, because well, I'm not sure how many. Yeah, 9 seconds spent. Even if he did catch the grid, we wouldn't really be looking at even points, and he hasn't pit yet. And what has happened to Nino? Okay, Nino, yeah. So he was there. That's fine. Looks like he momentarily passed Timer. I do not know what you're talking about, Tom, but do you? As they continue, of course, under the safety car for another lap. Oh, for fuck's sake. I don't know why that took me a second to get to read Lewis's message again. Oh my god. Oh, never change, Tom. Should be expecting them in this lap. As well as Pacos? Nah. Looks like Paco was spun under the safety car, and if he didn't spin, then I guess he would have been. It would have been that he got spun by someone. But yeah. Gonna put that down as a Paco bottle, unless I hear something else. But all up to Lordy now. As the safety car is going to go into the pit lane, and you would be expecting Lordy to slow the grid right down for the restart. As through the penultimate corner he goes, just warming up his tires, not getting on with it just yet. As through the final corner as well, and I think he's... oh no, he hasn't actually gone, and he doesn't have to. Of course, the start-finish line is a lot more down than it has been in previous games, and he has of course gone now, and it looks like a very good restart as the Red Bull of Nino Romanello under pressure, or actually no, pressure ring timer I should say, his timer drops down to P2. Matthew Walder remains in P4, Ross Denham and Cameron Young going at it as well for what is P5 right now. Side by side they go. Cameron Young of course on the inside, he's going to be making up a place up into P5. The two McLarens settle into P6 and P7, and actually Enrico as well trying to go down the inside side by side with Dylan Day there. This is for 7th place right now, as side by side around the outside for turn 7 as they continue to battle this away, and up the road I should say a little bit as well. Side by side, that's Matthew Walder and Cameron Young going side by side. I'm gonna assume the Red Bull has actually gone around the outside, and of course the Alpine as well. Cameron Young has got the better of Matthew Walder, but for how much longer though is right at the back of him. Matthew Walder, he's still going to be looking for a move, maybe down the inside, maybe on the outside, or he's just going to stick behind. I think he is going to stick behind at this moment in time. Nino Romanello trying to chase down Lordy, of course. I think it's too little too late though, of course, with the amount of penalties that Nino has. Timer still is in a position to win this race on penalties, as Ross Denham, I think, or no, actually that's Dylan Day getting overtaken, and Ross Denham going up into P5, so the two McLarens both gaining and losing a place respectively. And you can see the Red Bull right on the inside. Dylan Day is going to be trying to go around the outside. I do know these guys to be friends as well, these two, as Enrico on the outside, and he's going to get the better of him. Dylan Day passing the Red Bull. As they approach turn 1 though, the Red Bull looking down the inside has a little bit of a look, but wasn't able to make anything happen of it, as onto the last lap we are now. Timer is still just about keeping in where he needs to be to take this win, as Cameron Young now trying to get a move on, as he's up in 4th at 9 seconds of penalty, so it's looking like a Timer Lordy, and then I'm not really sure. I guess it's going to be one of the two Welshmen to take the 3rd place, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Cameron Young right now, as through towards the chicane for the final time. That splits these two very good overtaking opportunities, as of course Nino is currently leading, but of course with those penalties I don't think it's going to stick, as Ross Denham and Dylan Day has did. I don't know what has happened there. Cameron Young is certainly round, as he's going to be spinning his car back around. He's not going to be getting any points anymore, as I think Dylan Day may have caused that. I'm not sure though, as Dylan Day has gained a few positions quite recently, and Cameron Young is now down to 15th of course. But Nino Romanello, it looks like he's going to be coming through the final few corners to take at least the win on track, so that's going to be a little bit of a kind of a lost hope really. At this point he's not going to be taking the win, so across the line Nino Romanello is going to take the win on track, but Lordy is going to take it, and then Timer Azim is going to cross the line. Of course he got no penalties today, and he's going to be taking the win ahead of Lordy. And Rocco Walsh, you can see there, of course he had no penalties, he did the job, and he's up into a podium place. A very nice P3 for Rocco Walsh, as of course you can see how strong of a position you can get when you don't get any penalties. Ross Denham is going to settle for 4th, Nino dropping to 5th. Of course he crossed the line in 1st, you can see how many penalties Nino had. Dylan Day in 6th, but he does have that 10-second time penalty, so the gap to leader then, so 22 seconds, which would put him actually outside of the points in 11th. So that would be Greenwood in 6th, Dale Kelleher in 7th, Matthew Walder in 8th, Thomas McIver in 9th, Ollie in 10th, and then Dylan Day in 11th. Jared Fosbury, of course, in 12th. As what is updated? What? Well, I'm sure that's going to be fixed. Nino did not get 14th, and I don't see how he could have done anything about a random 20-second penalty. What is up? Okay. Cameron Young was doing some donuts. So, top step of the podium for Timer Azim. Takes his first win, or at least to my knowledge, his first win in IRL as well. As he's going to be able to spray the champagne. Lordy, coming from the back of the grid, finishes in a very, very good P2, of course. Would call him driver of the day, to be honest. Maybe Timer as well, though. Of course, getting the no pens. Well, any of these three really deserve a driver of the day. Of course, Rocco in third with the no penalties. He finished on track, I think, around 6th or 7th. But, of course, with no penalties, right up into the podium places. So, actually, to be honest, in my opinion, it would be Rocco Walsh that I would put. Of course, in an Alfa Romeo. Wasn't exactly in his favour with the car or anything. So, he did what he could and got a podium. So of course Timer ahead of Lordy and Rocco for top 3, Gross Delma in 4th, Dylan Day in 5th, Greenwood 6th, Dale Kelleher in 7th, Matthew Alder in 8th. I'll just get down here. It's Thomas Guyver in 9th, Ollie Favell in 10th. But of course Dylan Day with that penalty is going to drop to 11th. I don't think Nino really finished there, but you can see the rest of that there. As I just look here, so that would be Edward Hart in 12th, Enrico in 13th, Paco, well, I can't read this properly because Nino got that weird 20-second penalty, but yeah, then Enrico, Paco, Cameron Young, and Lewis Millum, who, of course, caused the safety car. So we'll try and get the top 3 in for interview. As I couldn't add Timer because of settings. Okay, we'll get started then. And if Timer wants an invite, then we'll get to that. But yeah, Rocco Walsh, I think. Yeah, we'll start with you. Of course, you took a third in the end, no penalties, and in an Alfa Romeo, did everything you could, and I think it worked out well for you.
Yeah, I started realising I might get a podium when that safety car came out. And obviously I just tried to keep it clean, and it paid off, so yeah, I'm very happy.
Well, not too much then to say about it. Of course, in terms of fights, were you involved in too much? Because of course you were kind of mid points most of the race, I think, until of course right at the end. So was there any fights you were involved in, or were you just running your own race?
Well, I was behind the two McLarens and a Ferrari until like lap 17 or something. I just tried to keep with their DRS because just without that then I would just fall off. So it was just about keeping with the people in front of me, really. So that was not really battling. The only battling I did was when I went on the softs when it started raining. That was about it, really, and maybe the end, but that's about it.
Alright then, and of course a P3 in the end. Next week is Italy. Of course, probably will be in a slower car than an Alpha, which Alpha, as it is, doesn't really help you out. So, do you think you could get a good result in Italy? Of course, penalties I think will be a problem there as well, which if you can repeat that should help you. So,
yeah, it's down to the engine, really, isn't it? So, like, if I don't keep on DRS, then I'm not probably going to get a good result. So, it's pretty simple. Just like if I'm not quick enough in a straight line, I don't think I'm going to get a good one. So, might have to go with a 1-1 wing setup.
Alright then, congratulations on your P3 and good luck for next week.
Thank you.
And then Lordy, of course, you were close to a win, a penalty away, one less penalty, and you would have won as well. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But a P2, and you started from last as well, which I think was intentional, because I heard you did it in Japan once before. So, I guess one question was, did you start from the back intentionally? And secondly, just generally, how was your race?
Yeah, you're right, mate. Been a long time. How are you? Good,
yeah,
good.
Has been.
Yeah. No, I just have to give these scrubs a chance, really, don't you? You know, can't have so much more than starting at the back on hards as well. I don't know, really. You just start at the back, see how it went, and I was like, I haven't played the game in a while, just see where it takes me, and then all you just see is absolute bumper cart cretins crashing into each other. So, you know, at the end of the day, they make my life 10 times easier. You know, I had 2 spins in the race and had an absolute BS penalty, and apart from that, you know, I would have absolutely destroyed and wiped the floor with them all. I'm just better than Matthew Older, so it's just a fact. Like, just sign me up for esports right now. It's just fact. So yeah, the race went quite well. Bit disappointed that Ugi's team got the win, but you know, when Laggy TM, or whatever he's called, is spinning off in the wall, can't be helped, can it?
Yeah, and I guess you staying out as well, when it was raining, you stayed out I think a lot more than the front runners did generally. So were you just hoping that a safety car would come, or did you think staying out that extra lap was more beneficial, that the sticks were better?
Well, this is top tips from Lloyd MK, right? Never pit for wet when it's not wet. So that's kind of the top tip. Obviously, it was never wet enough. I know it looked wet, but you know, you normally get that indication, you know, DRS disabled. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but normally that's the indication, and then it goes wet. But all these noobs decided to pit, and I was like, well, it was touch and go with the guys with the hards, because I know the guys with the mediums had to pit because their tyres were going to die. But the people on the hards pitting, and Nino especially. What was Nino doing? He just pitted for the sake of it. He just saw a trend and was like, "Yeah, mate, you know, I'll follow them all in." So yeah, a bit retarded from him, to be honest. But no, yeah, it stayed out and the tyres are touch and go, about 85%. But yeah, you make it work.
Yeah, and of course, Italy for next week. So how do you think you could do there?
Well, if COVID doesn't kill me before then should be all right. There's a bit of, not many corners in that track, so I think some of the drivers in this league will actually do fare better at that track. I think I've noticed, a lot of corners seem to confuse these drivers in these leagues. So the less corners, the better. I do like Monza. No, I've never really done well there, but I do like it as a track. Tail one's going to be fun, as you can imagine. But yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully the grid can be a full grid for next week as well, so I can start from the back again and win from 20th.
All right then. Confidence then maybe from you, but congratulations on your P2, of course, and good luck for next week.
Cheers, mate. Nice speaking to you.
And you. And that will round out the stream then. So that has been IRLFP here for round 2, of course. Next week will be Italy, as I said, same time on Wednesday. And yeah, hopefully the racing is as good as it was here today. So that's been all from me, and good night.